have a theory. You make me lose my memory. Just say I can't remember anyway, anybody to ever make me feel this way, this way. Time never analyze, make you mine again. One more shot, one more shot. You won't mind, I'll take my time to love you once again. One more shot, give me one more shot.
Hello guys, welcome to 2018. I hope all of you got well into the new year. So what you see here in front of the camera is the Chuwi SurBook, another one of those cheaper Surface clones, but it's actually a very high quality one. This has been the first device of Chuwi that has been crowdfunded via Indiegogo. So after quite a bit of waiting, I finally got a review unit of this one to have a look at. So let's just have a quick look at pricing and the specs. So the 128GB model of the Chuwi SurBook is currently available at around 350 euros, which is a sale price. Usually it's around 400 euros. Actually, there also is a 64GB version, but this one often is more expensive because it almost never is on sale. The 128GB model I have here is almost constantly on sale for 350 euros, so it actually is cheaper than the 64GB model, which is something you should know. So when you're gonna purchase this, get the 128GB model once it is on sale. So let's just have a quick look at the specs you get with this amount of money. There is a Intel Celeron processor inside of there, the N3450 quad-core chipset, clocked at 1.1 GHz and a turbo boost clock of 2.2 GHz. We have the Intel HD Graphics 500 GPU. We have a fairly large 12.3-inch IPS screen with a high resolution of 2736 by 1824. We have 6GB of LPDDR3 RAM, clocked at 1600 MHz inside of there. We've got 128GB of eMMC memory. You cannot put a SSD inside of there, unfortunately. This would have been really nice. Really sad they didn't do that, but you can expand it via micro SD cards. We have a 5-megapixel rear-facing camera and a 2-megapixel front-facing camera. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. We've also got AC-WiFi connection, Bluetooth 4.0 inside of there, headphone jack, USB Type-C port, 2 USB 3 ports, and a pretty large 5000 milliamps lithium-ion battery with 7.4 volts inside of there. So yeah, that's about the specs. Let's have a closer look at it. So this isn't the first Surface style tablet PC from China I am testing, but it's definitely the one with the best build quality. So alone in terms of build quality, it's totally worth the money, because this thing is just a huge chunk of metal. It's really sturdy, great build quality there, really thick material they used here, and even the kickstand is pretty thick and really sturdy. Also the hinge inside of there, as you can see, not this flimsy mechanism, but a proper sturdy mechanism here with thick metal parts. So build quality is really nice on this one. It's a really sturdy kickstand we've got here, and the tablet also is fairly slim. I mean, look at that, that's not thick at all. Compare that with my thumb, not bad at all. So when having a look around the tablet, we find here below the kickstand the micro SD card reader, the SurBook logo, and then we've got the rear camera on the top, and another Chuwi logo on the kickstand. Here is the pogo pin connector for the type cover, which you can purchase for this one. Then on the right side of the tablet we find a speaker. There actually are stereo speakers. On the left side we have another one. Then we have two full-sized USB 3.0 ports, the Type-C jack, the 3.5mm headphone jack. On the top we've got hardware buttons to control volume and turn the tablet on and off. And well, on the left side is nothing except the aforementioned speaker. The front is fairly clean. As you can see, we've got no Windows button there, which I actually like, because often you hit those Windows buttons accidentally, which can be a little annoying. And on the top part we have the 2-megapixel front webcam. And here we have two accessories you can purchase in addition to the Chuwi SurBook to get a complete laptop. We have a type cover, which sets you back at around 43 euros. And we've also got the Chuwi HiPen H3, which is an active stylus, powered by a Quad A battery. And this one sets you back at 25 euros. But actually, GearBest offers a bundle purchase for this, so you can get a few euros off when purchasing those two accessories along your Chuwi SurBook. Docking the keyboard onto the Chuwi SurBook is pretty easy. You just hold it on this and then it docks right in via the magnet. Then you pop out the kickstand and then you can use it as a laptop. And as you can see, you can angle the keyboard by putting it on the tablet's front via a magnet. It's not the strongest magnet, but it does work, it does its job. It doesn't fall off when you type on it. The cover itself is okay, not the best one, but it's usable. The keyboard is actually pretty good. You need some time to get used to it because the key travel isn't that large, but actually it's pretty comfortable to type on this. Has no issues with double characters and all that stuff. And with function and delete, by pressing those two keys together, you can enable and disable the backlight of this keyboard, which is very useful in the dark. It's a very even backlight, so it also looks very nice. What I dislike on this type cover is that the touchpad doesn't work very well. It often clicks when swiping, has some annoying Windows gestures on the sides, which you can disable by some third-party tool, but still they are annoying. Really not the best touchpad, and I actually prefer using the touchscreen to control Windows. And what I also dislike is that this thing is a dirt magnet. It's a felt-like material, but as you can see, dust and hairs and all that stuff get stuck to this material very easy. And you can clean it with a lot of effort, but just a short while after you will have again dirt on it. So this doesn't look that nice. I would have preferred some different material there. What's also kind of annoying to me is how you open the kickstand. There are some gaps to assist you opening the kickstand, but those are on the bottom. So you always have to hold the tablet on the top and then try to fumble it open. But the magnets that hold this thing in place are rather strong, so it's pretty hard to get this thing opened. I would have preferred the notches to open it on the sides here, on the left and right. Yeah, not the best way they did this. What's nice about the Chuwi SurBook is that it has a automatic backlight control, so it controls the screen brightness based on the surrounding light. I personally can see the screen well just through the camera. It looks a little bit dark here with the studio lighting, so let me turn off the automatic brightness so you can see more on the screen. And actually the screen can get really high, up to 450 nits. I haven't measured that, but it looks brighter than most other Chinese tablets, so I think it's true. Really no issues reading this thing outdoors. What's a pity though is that the screen isn't laminated, so you have this gap in between the front glass and the actual LCD panel, which causes some reflection. So if they would have fully laminated the screen, the outdoor readability would be even better. But still, the screen is good. I mean, we have a good resolution there. It looks really sharp. Single pixels can only be spotted when you come very close to the screen, like this distance. And colors look good, contrast looks good. It's a really good panel. It's made by Samsung, so really nothing to complain about there. Touchscreen works well. It's a 10-point touchscreen, and of course the stylus, as it's an active one, supports all the features you want from it. You can hover above the screen and it will recognize this, as you can see. You have this little pointer there, and it's just a really good pen actually, despite not using a Wacom digitizer, and it's also pressure sensitive, up to 1024 levels of pressure. It doesn't necessarily work as good as, for example, with a Wacom stylus, but it's still usable, and for notes or quick drawings it's perfectly fine, I think. Let me just demonstrate the pressure sensitivity. So this is a very light stroke, as you can see. Now I'm getting a little bit harder. So as you can see, this works fairly well. Let me just write something on very quick. Oh, as you can see, I made a mistake, and now I can press this button to get rid of it. So yeah, that's about the stylus and the touchscreen, all that stuff. Pretty good here, and not much to complain about there. What I did notice, by the way, is that there is a little dead spot around the screen. So if you draw, it stops a few millimeters before the actual end of the screen, as you can see, which is kind of strange, but it actually does recognize touches at the edge of the screen, which I can show you when opening something up in Chrome and use this area for scrolling. Let me just do that. So there we go. I can still scroll here at the edge of the screen. I just can't draw on it. I don't really know why that is, but it's not a big deal in my opinion. Now, performance-wise, you of course can't expect any high-end performance from a Intel Celeron N3450 processor. It's by far not up to the standard of a Core M chipset, but it's totally okay, and you can even improve this by getting rid of the power limits should be applied to this processor. By default, the power limits are set to 6 watts, but the cooling inside of there actually is decent enough to handle up to 20 watts. So I actually unlocked this, and this bumps up the benchmark results quite a bit. Let me just show you that. Here we go. So this is the Antutu Score without any power limits adjustments. So we got 114,000 points here at 6 watts, which is the default one, as I said. If you set the power limits to 15 watts, you get 117,000 points in the Antutu benchmark. And if you go one step higher to 20 watts, you get 120,000 points. So that's actually a lot better, and you do notice this especially when using multitasking, switching between lots of apps. This works a lot smoother than also when working in Office, surfing big websites and all that stuff. It's just a lot smoother then. How do you do this? You can't do it in the BIOS because the BIOS is locked on this tablet. You can't change any advanced settings there. Chrome has some bug. I can't close this using the pen. So you need to use some third-party application to actually boost the power limits upwards, and you can do this with a tool called throttle stop. So when you open this up, you can change the settings accordingly. You tap on TPL, and then you set those two to 20 and put this bar up to the maximum, then click OK and click on save here. And as soon as you have done that, you can actually make use of the full performance potential of the Chuwi SurBook. And you should also go into the Intel HD graphics settings there and then go to the power tab and change this to maximum performance for both battery and plugged in state, so you can make use of the full GPU performance inside of there, because setting the power limits higher enables you to reach higher GPU frequencies, which gives the most performance boost in my opinion. In terms of battery life, this doesn't do much bad in my opinion. The comparison between 6 watt power limits and 20 watt power limits is about 30 minutes of runtime difference. So look at my stats here. I get close to 7 hours of runtime with a single charge, which is fine. I mean, that's not a bad battery life at all, especially considering the bright screen. And also the charging time is pretty good on this tablet. Using the original charger, I get around 2 to 2.5 hours of charging time from 20 to 100%, which isn't bad at all in my opinion. What I do love about the Chuwi SurBook as well are those 2 USB 3.0 ports. I mean, full USB ports aren't something you find seldom on Chinese tablets, but 2 of them is something pretty much none of those Chinese tablets offer. It's very seldom you see 2 of them. So it's great that they put them inside of there, very useful. And actually those are real USB 3.0 ports. You get the full speed of USB 3.0 on both of them, and both deliver enough power output to drive external hard drives without using a power supply, which is also something you very rarely find on Chinese tablets. A big letdown, however, is the USB Type-C port. This one is not according to the USB Type-C standard. It uses longer plugs. The cable you get with it has a longer plug, so really no issue. But if you want to use a USB Type-C hub on there, and your USB Type-C hub uses a standard Type-C plug with the standard length, you won't get it inside of there. It won't make connection. And that's a problem, because we don't have a HDMI out port on this tablet. This is done via Type-C. But what's the purpose of it if you can't make use of it without cutting your plugs? You would need to cut off some of the plastic to get a longer plug. But this actually doesn't work on all, because sometimes there isn't enough material to cut off and you would damage your plug then. So that's really not an optimal solution. And it's actually hard to find Type-C hubs with extra lengthy plugs. So they should have done a cutout there to prevent to get rid of the need for an extra length plug. So yeah, the Type-C port there isn't really usable. That's really sad. Another pro of the Chuwi SurBook are the speakers. They sound really, really good, especially if you fine-tune them. I mean, out of the box, they aren't the loudest speakers, but already sound quite decent. But as soon as you do some changes to the settings, which I'm going to show you in a second, they actually sound really awesome. So what I installed there is the tool Equalizer Apo. What this does is to boost the output. This is a system equalizer, similar to Viper for Android, you might know from smartphones. So what you do there is to go into Configuration Editor, and there you set the output gain, the preamplification, to 2.2 decibels, and that's kind of the sweet spot of the speakers. If you pull it up to 100%, then they are really, really loud. They offer a really intense bass playback, so they sound really, really good without any distortions. I really like those speakers inside of there. It's great for listening to music while doing work, when not being able to use headphones. It's great to watch Netflix in bed. Really, really good speakers inside of there. I'm really surprised. Those are the best speakers I have seen on any Chuwi device yet, and probably the best speakers I have seen on a Chinese tablet yet. Really surprised about those, and the headphone jack output is also really decent there. We've got a Intel HD sound card inside of there. It uses the Realtek HD Audio Manager for some reason, but there is no Realtek HD Audio sound card inside of there, just the Intel one. Regarding the webcams, I'm not that satisfied with them. Picture quality of those looks rather bad, and video as well, so they are not high quality webcams. Let's just check out. This is a picture taken with the rear camera. So yeah, it's not completely unusable, right? But it could be better. The amount of detail is just not good. So if you don't have much demands towards quality, they are probably fine for you. But if you have higher quality demands for your webcam, this isn't a good choice. And for the microphone, actually I don't know where it is placed. There's no microphone opening anywhere, at least I haven't found it yet, but it does sound very muffled and a lot of background noise, so microphone really isn't good there. So if you want to do Skype chats or anything like that, please use an external headset, because otherwise you might not be understood, right? So yeah, I think that's it about the first impressions of the Chuwi SurBook. So all in all, is it worth its money? Yes, especially after you did some software hacks like unlocking the power limits and boosting the speakers. All in all, it's a pretty decent tablet. Build quality is amazing, touchscreen works really well, also with the pen, and not as good as a Wacom stylus, but still very useful for taking notes, do quick drawings and all that stuff, and also for actually using Windows, navigating across Windows. I like to use the pen a lot. The type cover doesn't have the best touchpad, considering that it's quite expensive. That's a bit disappointing, but the keyboard itself is great and the backlight works great, and as I said, pen works great too. Wi-Fi is fast, good connection quality, good signal strength. Bluetooth works okay, battery life isn't bad at all, and yeah, so not the cheapest of those Chinese Surface clones, but one of the better ones. So I think this is a purchase recommendation if you are willing to spend that much money on a Chinese tablet. Be in mind that warranty stuff and all that things might be an issue there. So yeah, that's something you have to decide on your own, but the device itself isn't bad at all. That's my opinion right now. So yeah, I will keep testing this one, and then I will provide you with a full and in-depth review about the Chuwi SurBook. So see you then, thanks for watching, and bye bye.